Hi everyone, it's Judy again. In this video, I'm going to cover how we're going to build a table so that we can conduct the experiment, does it still get colder after daybreak? So what I've done is that I've gone onto the data.xinabox.cc website, the Kibana dashboard, and as we can see, once again, it's defaulted to Discover on the left-hand side and this index weather station. So what I have done is that I have set up a kit that is called Paprika. So let me just put that in there and search for it. And yes, certainly what it can do is it can actually see that paprika plant that I have, and that is the kit that I'm going to be using for conducting this experiment. So let's just have a look at this data set that I'm receiving. So we can see here that with that kit, I'm running the SL01, and I'm also running the SW02. So I'm going to get my weather data from the SW02, and I'm going to get my light data from my SL01. So now that I know which sensors I have connected for this experiment, I can go towards building my visualization. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to build the visualization first before I build any dashboard. So we go over here, we in visualize, and we go plus, and I want to, you could do all kinds of visualizations, as you can see here, but what I'm going to do in this particular case is I'm going to build a data table. So I click on that, and on the left-hand side here, we know that we are working with the weather station index. So there we go. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to, before I even go any further, I'm going to save this. So this is going to be my daybreak data table. And I was working with the SL01 and SW02. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to save it so that I have it there. Right, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start building my table. So what I do here is that I say I want a metric. And once again, what we're going to do is we're going to go for the average. The sensors send data packets roughly every 10 milliseconds. So if I want to have a look at what happened over the duration of 1 second, I'm going to need to have an average of those values. So that is why I always select average. And then what I had is that I had my SL01 connected. So I go all the way to the bottom and I say over here, SL01, and it was lux, light intensity. So I'm going to put here, it's measured in lux. And so I add that metric. And then what I want to do is that I just want to have my buckets. What I want to do is that I want date histogram once again. And I could actually have sub buckets, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And what I'm going to have over here is I'm going to have date and time. Let's apply those changes and let's see what that does for us. Okay, so here we have our date and time, and we have our lux level, okay, as it varies along, and that has been over the last hour. So that's absolutely fine. Then what I want to do is that I want to add more columns. So what we do is we go up here and we can say, I don't want to add sub buckets, but what I want to do is that I want to add more. So what I can do is that I could say, I want to add another metric. And this once again is average. And this time I have the SW02. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have SW02 temperature. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this temp in C degrees centigrade. Okay, and I can add another metric, and this time let's make it SW02. What we can do is we can have humidity. That could be very interesting, because then we can also start working out dew point, etc. So I'm going to call this relative humidity, also as a percentage. There we go. And let's just apply those changes. So there we go. There we can see we've added those columns. And maybe just for completeness, let's just add actually all of the metrics that we would get, that we would receive from that sensor. So because we're getting more actually from those sensors. So let's go for average again. I know that my SL01 is going to give me UV index as well. So let's just go here for SL01 UV index. And from my weather sensor, I was also able to get atmospheric pressure. So let's actually do that as well. So here we're going to say average once again, and we're also going to do SW02 pressure. And so I can have over here ATM, atmospheric pressure, and that was in hectopascals. Okay, that is great. Let's apply those changes. There we go. So now what we have is we have our data table, and what we could do is we could either export the data as raw or as formatted. And I actually want to increase this, because this experiment I need to run, I need to collect data over multiple days. So what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to say, what about the last 7 days? Let's actually set the auto refresh. So I'm going to open auto refresh over here. So if I go auto refresh, I want that to happen every 5 seconds. And yeah, so let's actually let's save this again as that data table for the SL01 and SW02. And yeah, so now I'm ready to build my dashboard. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go to my dashboard. Let's open up dashboard. Let me add a dashboard. And it says, let's fill this up. So I'm going to add my data table. So it had something to do with data table. And that involved the SL01. There we go. There we have it. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say, yeah, let's actually add some other visualizations as well, because what we had is we had a visualization for lux level of SL01. So let's see what we have there. Light sensor SL01. There we go. We can just add that. And what we can also do is we can say, I want to have the SW02 air temperature. That's a great idea. And let me close that again just by adding the add button again. So there I have it. I have my light sensor SL01. I have my air temperature as well. So what I could do is that I could compare those two just by moving them around. What we can do is we can actually just take this and we can move this here. And what we can do is we can expand this. So that sits over there. Move this in a little bit so we can compare the two. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm now going to save this dashboard, save as a new dashboard, and I'm going to say daybreak dashboard. And yeah, I'm going to save that. Remember, when you're using this dashboard, you actually have to put your unit name in. So mine was paprika. And then what I do is then I just search on that. And then I will get everything from my dashboard. So please have a look at this and enjoy conducting your experiment.